summer craft along 2024. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to be making this picket fence design. Let's bring that back in. So we're going to be making the white version today. So I'm going to show you how to construct this fancy card blank as well as all the embellishments on top. So welcome along. If you've not watched one of these craft along tutorials before, welcome. If you are able to watch it live, then please drop a message in the live chat box and I can say hello during the session. If you've got any questions while I'm making, you can drop them in there and I can answer them in that. And then if you're watching the replay, do say hello in the comments as well. It's lovely to know where you're watching from. And again, if you've got any questions, you can pop them into the comments and I'll be able to answer on the comments back to you anything you might want to know. So I'll introduce myself. I am Della. I run Della by Design. It's an independent business that I've been running for, I'm going to lose track now, 7 years now I think this summer. And in the last couple of years I've just started designing my own selection of stamps. So this range is all based on the Buzzing Birthday stamp set, which is a set of 23 clear photopolymer stamps. So you can reuse these again and again. They peel off and you can ink them and create these beautiful embellishments. So that's what I have used today. So if you've followed along with me before, my kits come in 3 levels. So we've got the beginner's kit, which everything is prepped and ready to put together, and the advanced kit, which is what we'll be using today. So everything is stamped and ready to go, but you need to cut them out and stick all together. And then I've introduced the expert kit as well, which has the stamps and the cardstock, so that you can recreate this design with the same colour tones. Everything coordinates really nicely, or you can just buy the stamps and use your own stash. This is quite a good one for using up scraps because you can cut out flowers from all different bits of scrap card for this design once you've got the card blank sorted. So, right, have a little sip of water, catch my breath. So all my designs come in a white version and a craft version, which is this lovely recycled brown card here. So it's a nice sort of rustic feel to it. So I've done all the purples in this range, in this colour. But today we're going to be using the pink, or I'm going to be making the pink. If you have got the purple kits, then you can still follow along with this tutorial because you just need to interchange the different colours and keep track of where we are. But I'll leave that card there so you can always refer back to the positioning. That's not a problem. So, and I've got some props today. So let me just run through what's in the advanced kit first off, and then we will I will show you how to make the card blank from scratch. But the advanced kit does have the pieces already cut out for you. So this is originally a 6 by 6 inch card blank. What I've done is cut that off, and then in the advanced kit you get one large thick strip and then 6 of these little ones as well. And then we've got the large pink square, and then the happy birthday greeting, and then the mount. So everything is cut to size for these so that you get the perfect edge. And then lots of lovely things to colour in and cut out. So you've got the flowers, the leaves, the bees, and then the circles on the bees. So just a note on these circles, so they are in this stamp set as well. So they are, so you've got the 2 big flower, or the big flower and the medium flower, and then I'll find it. So then that circle there is the right size for that flower, and then this one over here is the right one for this flower. So it's handy, so you don't have to restamp the whole flower just to get the centre on a yellow bit of card, which is quite handy. So if you're making this from scratch, I just want to show you with some props how to make the card blank, or how to make the pieces for the card blank. So like I said, it did start off as a 6x6 card, and then this handy little here, like, let's see if I can make this so it fits on here, so you can take a screen grab. Have I got the measurements for these? I'll add the measurements for this in the description below as well, but this is a handy little visual for you. So the card blank, I say, so you leave the back of the card complete, 6 inches by 6 inches. That's the fold line there. So you want to measure 2.5 inches from the fold line and then trim off the edge of the card. And then from the bit that you've taken away, you've got this strip which is 1 inch deep, and then it's the same card width across. So I think I always say this is 6 by 6 inches, but actually I think the envelopes are 6 by 6, and the cardstock is actually just slightly smaller, so it fits in. So just be careful, whatever your card blank you're using, you've got the equivalent envelope to go with it. So that's the starting point for that. And then using another card blank, because there's not quite enough card in the bit we cut away, unfortunately. So another card blank, or if it's the white card, you can also use white card, or you can use a different colour even. Then you need to cut out these strips. So they are all the same size. There are 6 of them, and they measure, I was doing in inches, which I think because it's more prominent on my guillotine, the inches. The rest of my life I do centimetres, but for card making it's always inches. So they're 4 inches long, and that gives us ample flexibility. You're not trying to like fit them in the gap, so you can stick them down firmly on either side. And then they're 1/2 inch thick. So need 6 of them. Right, I'll put those to one side, and then let's bring these back in so we can start making. Right, I'll put those bits to one side. Let's make the card. So for this, I'm going to use, so I recommend quite a strong glue for this, preferably a wet glue, just to give us a little bit more flexibility on moving things. And so I'll use glossy accents, which isn't actually a glue, but isn't actually a glue, but it adds like a definition onto the cards, like a clear drop, like the liquid pearls we did earlier in the week. But this dries clear. But anyway, it works very well as a glue. And we've got some comments on there. Hello, thanks for watching. We've got the only potato, and she says so cute, thank you. And then Gemma Heath, hi. She said, can I have a shout out? Yes, I feel like I'm on like CBeebies TV now. But yes, welcome along. If you feel free to make along this card with me while I'm making. The idea of these tutorials is not to rush through and show you kind of this is what I made earlier. These it's a leisurely pace so that you can actually create the cards with me. Or the DIY kits are available on my Etsy shop. So let's put those there. Right, so as a glue, I recommend getting a bit of scrap paper for this as well, handy, just because it might get a bit messy. So we're going to open up the card back. I'm going to flip it over so we're on the inside of the card. And then what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to weigh this down with my stamps. That product placement there. I'm going to weigh it down just so that I can keep that flat. And then I'm going to lay these out first off, just so that I'm happy with the positioning. So from memory, they should fit with a similar gap to the, so it's the same distance of white panel, gap, white panel, so there's similar gap, and then with a gap at either end as well. So space them out until you're happy you've got them nice and even. One little perk of this craft mat is that it's got the square grids line. So I'm going to use that to make sure I've got them perpendicular, is not the right word, is it? Sort of horizontal with the rest of the card. Line them up. And I'm going to use my card as a reference, which I know you can't do, but I'm going to measure. I'll measure it so that I can tell you what the what the measurement is. So I think I need to move them back just a little bit. Basically, you don't want to end up over it too long, going beyond the base. And let me just get my ruler. So it's about 1.25 inches overlap. And there, maybe a little bit less than that. So you don't want to leave yourself without enough room to get on there. So once you're happy that you've got them all lined up and got them all straight, what I recommend doing is just sliding them across each alternate ones, sliding them across, and then adding the glue. Can hold that straight. And then add the glue, so you know it's going to be within here and here, so you can just add a blob of glue across. And then this glue, it stays wet for quite a while, so it takes a little time to cure. So if I put it on now, then it will just slide and seep out the side. So I'm just going to give it a few seconds just to cure slightly, and then we can glue them on. But doing it alternately means that we've got the reference point of the end of the card there. I'm going to start layering these up. Excellent. Just check you're happy, because you got a that one's not stuck yet. You've got 30 seconds or so to test out whether these are straight, and you can wiggle them around a bit. But I'm happy with all those, so now I'm going to remove the other ones and repeat the process for the other 3. Okay, and just let that dry for a bit. I just have some more water. So this demonstration is part of the summer craft along, which is a new event for us this year. So I've been running Christmas craft alongs for the last 5-6 years. I'm just going to stick this down now, where we run a different workshop each day from Monday to Friday. So we have 5 new designs. And prior to the start of it, you can order the craft along kit, which has a big parcel with all the equipment you need to make each card each day, all individually wrapped, so you can just pick out the card for the day. Wonderful. Again, it's going to make sure that they are straight using the grid pattern underneath on my card mat. Yep, that all looks good. Excellent. And so now we can add the strip of card along the bottom. Now what we need to be careful for this one is to make sure that we are recreating the card blank. So the best way to do this is to fold. You don't want it too high because it won't stand up straight. So is to fold the card again, and then we can line it up with the outer edge of the card. But rather than adding glue on here and risk making it messy, I recommend using a piece of scrap paper. And here I've got some very pretty scrap paper. So this is from the, the papers I was designing, and I always print out the prototypes on paper just to make sure I'm happy with them before printing them out onto card. Oh, I'll tell you what I need to do. It's too big though, so I'm going to fold this. So you want it narrower than the 6 inches of the card back. There we go. Because you want to be able to still see that edge. And then we're going to line it up. So if you're happy to go for it, you can. I'm just going to mark some pencil marks just so I know where the glue should go. So to do that, I'm just got it lined up perfectly, and then I'm going to move this to the right slightly. I'm just going to do a little pencil mark on each of those, and so I know not to put any glue beyond that line, and I will add glue all the way along here. So again, using the liquid glue, just going to add a blob. Oh, I didn't put the lid back on it in between. Ooh. No, that has just dried on the top, but no worries. I've got a handy pin here which I keep just for these glues. So I'm just going to pierce the top just to clear the blockage. And then I'm going to use a bit of scrap paper just to make sure I haven't got a big air bubble or anything coming out of that. And I'm going to use this. There we go, that's working nicely. Where was I? So, add some glue onto the end of each of these. It's kind of nice being so confident that you know exactly where the glue is going to go, and not over the line, so you're not worried about estimating it. And again, I have to let that dry a little bit. So yeah, do say hello in the chat. I can see the comments up on my screen. Say hello, say where you're watching from. And then if you want to have a look through my YouTube channel after this, I've got lots of other tutorials saved. So I think I'm going to go ahead with this. So again, because it's a wet glue, I know I'm going to be able to move it quite easily. So I'm not too worried about getting it perfectly lined up, because I'll be able to do it as the glue dries. So it's a lot easier to see on the craft card. But yeah, so get it all lined up with the back of the card and hold it in place. Wonderful. And you can just make sure, so the scrap, make sure there's no glue coming out from the sides. And there we have it. So that is our card blank. So for the beginner's kit, that's how the kit arrives. So you have the card blank made, ready to decorate. So I'm going to put that to one side, and we've got some cutting out. So I do love a bit of fussy cutting. So let's have a look. Where shall we start today? I like to start with something quite simple, and a nice sharp pair of small scissors. We're going to cut around. So the stamp designs, because I know that I'm going to be cutting out a lot of my designs, you'll notice that most of the designs do have a nice thick black outer edge. Kind of gives it quite a cartoony effect, but it's mainly so that you can effortlessly cut them out. So you've got a lot of leeway to cut, and so you're aiming for the outside of the black line. But you can wiggle in and out. If you get like little bits of, little bits of colour showing through on the other side of the black, you can just go over it with a black marker. So cut these out, and if you notice, while I'm cutting these out, these are quite simple, but once you get more intricate, is that I'm keeping my scissors in the same position and I'm curving the card around rather than trying to chase around the shapes. And this gives you better control and gives you like a smoother curved cut. So we've got 3 leaves. So in the set I've got so a range of leaves and petals. So, and you can use them in either way. So I'll show you on here. So we've got, so this, the intention for this one is there's a giant petal with the giant flower centre, but this one could be a leaf, could be a petal. This could also be a leaf, and then you've got this one as well, which again you can make up into a flower. So lots of fun things we can do with this set, and you can make some really giant flowers with those. So there we go. Right. So that. I'll do a couple of flowers and then we'll colour in the bees. So I'm just going to cut off most of the excess of the card so it doesn't sort of drag and pull on the edge of the scissors. So like I say, we take a leisurely approach to these craft longs because if you've got the advanced kit, then you can make the card at the same pace that I'm making it. Probably a little bit quicker because I'm chatting. I think people generally find they get slightly ahead of what I'm doing, but that gives you a bit of time to add your little bit extras if you want to colour in, add some shading to these petals. You could ink the edges if you've got ink pad and sponges. I've kept them plain for this kit. They would look fabulous. I'm going to cut this off of here. So normally when I'm cutting out, I would be curled up on the sofa under a blanket watching TV. That's my my evenings. What I generally do, I'm in here in the studio, I will have a little box beside me, and anything that I stamp that I want to be cut out for projects, I save it, unless I'm making there and then. But I'll save them up, put them in the box for the evening, and then when I shut everything down up here, I grab the box, pair of scissors, and head downstairs to watch some TV and kind of just listen listen to the TV while cutting out. I find it really relaxing, and it kind of stops me sort of picking up my phone and scrolling through while watching TV, because I always find that it doesn't take much for me to then be missing what's happening in the TV and just in a scroll. Was it a doom scroll? Not quite a doom scroll, but it takes your attention more. Whereas if I'm cutting out, then it's kind of my hands occupied. I don't have that feeling of I should be doing something. It helps me be in the moment. So that's that one done. So this card's got 5 flowers on it, and you could add some more. I also realised while I was setting up today is that you could actually add some on the inside as well, so like as a mirror effect on the inside, which would be quite fun. Or even just decorate some of the inside as well. They could be peeking through. You could have them under here. Look at that. That would look cute. Let me put that pin back before I lose it. So I'm just going to go around the outer edge of these, the black line, and again this is where I'm moving the flower, so I'm rolling the card around and keeping the scissors nice and still. And again, if you've got messy bits, don't worry about it. You can always, if there's pink bits of card showing, then you can just dab it with a black marker pen, or if you're inking the edges, then like with all those messy bits can disappear with a nice dark pink ink on this one. There was a card we did before, we did it with an orange ink, and it made it turn the pink into like a tropical flower. It's lovely. So if you are going to add ink, or you're going to add colour with markers or pencils or anything, I'd recommend, if it's a card you've not used before, is using the scrap that you've cut away from and test out any colours on there first. Make sure you're happy with them, especially the inks and the sort of pro marker pens. The colour shifts slightly as it starts to dry, so I'd recommend testing it out and then leaving it for a few minutes before making a decision. So I think I've had some, I can't remember if it was the purple on the craft or something like that. It's like, soon as every colour that I think should work, by the time it dries, it either goes too pale or disappears, or just sort of turns a sluggish colour and ends up being quite a strong, vibrant colour that I wouldn't have picked initially, that actually ends up, look at that lovely curl. Pretty offcuts. Right, I'm going to lose that one. Let's bring that back out. And we've got the pale pink ones. I was saying in the workshop yesterday, which I cut out 3 flowers, I was saying that there's generally in a craft along where we've got 5 different designs to make across the week, there's always one that stands out as being the one that we have to cut. There is a lot of cutting, and I realise it's normally the one that lasts the longest, but I think yesterday and today is going to be a tight competition, I think. Like I say, the next round of craft alongs will be the Christmas craft along, which I'll be aiming to host in October this year. I'm normally trying to do it 1 week before or 1 week after the school holidays here in the UK, so the half term. So either the one before, which is October, actually I think the one after might just be into November. But the craft along kits for that will go on sale in September, so there's enough time for me to make them all for you. They're all made by hand and just by me, and they're wrapped up and sent out so that they arrive in time for the craft along starting on the Monday. then in between the craft alongs, I run the D by D Club, the Daily by Design Club, which is my email mailing list, and each month I send out a new set of digital papers, so you can download them for free from those emails and print them at home, or I've got the option to order them as printed sheets, plus I make some, obviously I don't just leave them as sheets, I make some designs with them, to give you some inspiration of what you can make with them. So that's what we do every month, and you'll find the instructions for those on my blog, and how you can download the previous month's papers. Okay. Another one done, and then we'll do this one. Oh, actually, let's do take a flower break. Let's have a look at the bees. So in this set, I've stamped the bees on white, and we're going to colour them in so that we keep the wings white and the eye white. On other designs, I've stamped the bee on to yellow, and then cut out the body and decoupaged him onto a stamped background. So there's up to you, 2 different ways of doing it. But let's colour these in. So this the ink that I've used to stamp all the images in my sets are with a dye-based Memento ink, which I'll show you. I definitely highly recommend for really clear stamped images. And that ink doesn't react with the alcohol markers. So I got Pro markers, there's Copics and the Spectrum Noir, or other brands available as well. But it won't bleed with the ink, so it means you can colour them in without any fear of ruining the design, which is very handy when you're colouring in bees. It's very obvious if it bleeds. So I'm going to colour all these in. So the Pro mark, if you've got a big stash of Pro markers, the one that I've opted to use with this set is Canary, which I knew was the one I used for this one. So if you do have a lot of markers, you can test them out on the white card, let them dry for a few minutes, and then you can see which is the closest match to the yellow in this kit, or a contrasting yellow. It's up to you, whatever you feel works best. So I'm going to colour in their faces, but leaving those eyes white makes them pop. And flower braid over. Back to the flowers. Just going to cut in and out of these. And I have to say so we've made lots of the cards this week have been pink or purple based, so I opted for this kind of mid sort of lilac-y colour for my nails this week. And normally I would have to redo my nails partway through the week, but this colour has lasted beautifully. I did redo one of them last night, but I had it in mind as I can change it midweek, and I can have I've got like a pink to match these. I can have nice pink nails to do this final card with. But I am glad they have lasted all week. But I do like matching my nail polish to my craft projects. Just going to cut around each one. Again, if you've got too much card on this side, then it means you can't move the scissors as easily. Just cut it away. Okay, flower number 3. I'm going to do the flowers first. So another idea, Claire, if you've got the stamp set, you could stamp these flowers onto pattern paper as well. So you've got patterns on all the petals, which can look quite nice. If you want to do some extra cutting out, you can cut out the, how many is it? The 8 top petals with the centre and layer it on top. Give them even more 3D look. So you kind of get into the zone of this, kind of hands start doing it automatically. Find it really relaxing. If the cutting out isn't possible for you or doesn't appeal, then the beginner's kit of this design has all the pieces cut out for you, so you can enjoy building up the card without the cutting. There we go. Trim off any excess white bits on there. And let's do a couple of flower circles. So again, we're going for the outside of the black line, but it doesn't have to be too accurate because it's going to be going on top of the flower, which has already got the black circle line. Again, just curving the card around and keeping the scissors still. Give you a nice smooth cut. And if you have got like a circle punch that's the right size, you might want to use that. And Sunita says hello. So beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching. These feel really quick and easy to cut out after the flowers. And then we get to put it all together. So if you're making it with the craft version, so I've switched the pinks out for purples, and the yellow is more of a mustardy yellow. I think it's called buttercup, but it's more of a mustardy yellow on there. And the bees are stamped in on cream card instead of the white. So it's kind of just generally got all those the warmer tones on that one. Right, I'm going to cut around the bee, include his wings. Just cutting on the outside of the black line. And cut off any excess. And then the big bees. So what I do on most of the videos is that we'll nearly there. We'll get to a point where we would be starting if we had the beginner's kit, and I'll add a little note in the description to say what time the video is. So if you have got the beginner's kit, you can fast forward through this bit and get to the point in the video to watch for the beginner's kit. I think this design may win as the the most cutting out for the ones this week, but it's worth it. It's such a fun design, and you can still add more. So if you've got the stamps, then you can add some more. You want to keep the gap so you can see through the fence, but like we said, we can add some flowers on the inside as well, showing through. There we go. So I'm going to just tidy up this pile, very pretty pile of scraps, and put it into my recycling box. So I nab a cereal box from the kitchen once we've finished it, and then fill it up with paper, so it can all go in the recycling nice and easily. And it also means that I can dip back into there if I need to find any scraps of card that I might be missing. Alright then, so this is where you would start with the beginner's kit. So you'd have the card blank already made into the fence, and then all the pieces cut out, the bees coloured in, and then the mounts here. So let's start by gluing the large pink square onto the inside of the card, and we're going to aim for a nice even border on each side. So I'm going to use this, what I call my glue mouse. It just dispenses double-sided tape, and it's just nice and quick and easy just to roll onto each edge. And we can add that onto there. So just line it up. Get a nice even border. Move to the front. So let's stick the happy birthday onto the mount. So again, these all come pre-cut for the advanced and the beginner, so they will be a perfect match for an even border. And if you've got the expert kit or you're making this from your own supplies, then have a look in the description, because that has all the measurements you need to make the card in this form. But obviously you can design it with your own size card blank instead, and like depending on what size happy birthday you have, what you want to have on there, or other greeting you have on there. So I'm going to stick that flat onto there. I've got the flowers be all the 3D elements, but you can raise it up on foam pads if you wish. I feel like I'm not making the centre of this board. Let me come over here a bit. Again, just going to add glue to the back of this. I'm going to aim for a nice even border on here. That's looking lovely. Now, I'm a bit of a planner when it comes to my cards, even though I've got the version here to copy. So what I'm going to do is arrange everything on my card so that I can be happy with the positioning. If you've got different flowers or different colours or number of flowers, then I recommend planning where you're going to put everything on this card before you start sticking. And I'm going to arrange them all. That one there. So think about, so what I really want to happen is all the flower centres are actually visible, so that they're not tucked behind, because they're going to be 3D on top. Now I want enough room for the bee. Moving back a bit. And then just add that into the corner. Make sure you're not going over the edges like I am. So you remember the outer edge of the card has got to be able to go in an envelope. So I'm not too worried about the centres because I know what they look like. So at this point, once you're happy with your layout, then you can take a quick photo on your phone just to have as a reference point, because it's quite handy to refer back to exactly where bits land, which bits reach the reach the edges. But I'm going to use this one as my guide because my phone's in use. So work out which ones are on the bottom, so you know what ones you can stick down first. And what we need to be really careful about for this is to only add glue to where there's card behind it. We don't want any glue showing through in the gaps. So let me show you on this one. So like for this white flower here, we only want to glue it in the middle. We don't want to get any glue on either side. So it just needs to be a little bit careful. Also a good time to bring back the scrap paper and just slide the scrap paper underneath behind the fence, because that, if something happens, we can fix it and clean it up afterwards, but this way it doesn't damage the card on the inside. So let's see how I do it. So I've got it slightly off, so I'm going to be adding glue side. So actually, so it's up to you whether you add glue. Let me move this up a bit. Add glue to the card blank or the element that you're sticking on, or the embellishment. For this one, because I know I'll be guessing where it is on here, but I know where it's going on here, so I'm going to add the glue onto here. Move these down just a little bit. And again, just going to let that dry for a little bit before putting it on, because it will just ooze out. I'm going to try not to rush this really. If I was rushing, which I hope I wouldn't be when I was trying to make this card, I would potentially start moving other things out the way to start gluing them, but let's take it slow. So, a chance to dry. I'm going to glue that. If you've got any bits that you've cut out that you don't like, this is your chance to tuck it behind and pick your best edge. There, and then I'm going to just move this pink one sideways, and now I know where that should be. And then also remember that the leaf is there as well. Let's add the leaf on first. Let that dry. Because what we can do while we're waiting is just add some foam pads. So I'm going to add some foam pads to the flower centres. Let's do that first. So in your kits you will receive a sheet of, or a chunk of these foam pads. So they're double-sided sticky, and they add that sort of 3D element. And you can break them off and peel them. And these ones are the perfect size for these flower centres. I would say it's by design, but it was a happy accident. Right, let's stick this down before that glue dries. And that one's going to go over the top. So this is a very strong glue, so I'm happy that it will hold just by the bit in the middle. I don't need to worry about the edges or anything. And let's get something else ready on here. So I know this corner one is going to match up with the corner of there. On there. I'm going to hold off doing that flower just yet. I want to make sure I've got enough room for that one. That's good. There, and hopefully by the time I finish that, I can add this one. Just got a little bit of glue on the end of that leaf now. There we go. I'm just going to lay all these on again to make sure that I'm happy I've got enough space. That one's gone a little bit too far down. That's not a problem. I'll just tuck these are going to be raised up, so it's just this small pink one I want to glue down, and then the other two are going to be raised up on foam pads. So I'm just aiming to sort of glue the centre of the flower, not worried about getting the ends of the petals stuck down. And then while we're waiting for that glue, let's add some foam pads to this one. So like I said, these foam pads, they're the right size for the large flower circles, centres, but the smaller ones, I just realised I've lost one of them. I will find that in a bit. These are too big for that, but to make these smaller, you cut them down to size. If you keep them on the backing sheets, front and back, then it just stops the, let's go this way, it stops your scissors getting too gluey. And I think I need to cut them into smaller squares. This one, and I'll just cut that as well. And then the smaller square can go on the back. Oh, what's she saying? On my design now, I haven't actually raised these ones up, but let's live a little, let's change that. So I think on the white one I'll need to stick it down flat because it's just tucked behind. But on these two I'm gonna raise them up. I'll stick this flower down. It's got quite a bumpy surface underneath it because it's got the green leaf and the 2 layers of fence, so I'm just going to hold that down to make sure that glue takes. And then we can add some big foam pads to the back of these flowers, but let me just make sure. So we want them at the bottom, so we don't want them in the middle, we want them on the bottom half, and they're symmetrical, so doesn't matter too much which way round. And the same for this one, all those actually covered. And I might be able to add another one on there once we're certain about where it's going. And the bees. So this bee here I haven't added onto a foam pad just because it's half on, half off. To make it a bit precarious, but these two I'm going to raise up on foam pad. That one is cut in half. I think this one will take a whole one diagonally. Yes, it's quite handy. So exciting, it's coming together. Okay, let's stick this bee on. I'm going to put a blob on the card blank where I know the glue is needed. I'm going to add him at the end. Right, shall we find that? There it is. So I'm going to glue this one directly onto the white flower because it's just sitting behind the pink one. So I'm going to add some glue onto there because I know exactly where it's going to be stuck down onto. And that one on there. Then, right, let's do this one. So remember the base can't go beyond the base of the card because we want that to stand, when it's on display we want it to stand up straight. I fear I may have gone too high with the foam pads, but we can fix that if that's the case. But let me just test that out. No, okay, right. Wonderful. So I'm just sort of, so if you've got a photograph of this, is only if you've got a photograph of how yours is laid out, you'll be able to refer back to that. But I'm just seeing exactly where the petals overlap that flower centre ever so slightly, and I can get 2 petals on flush on the base of the card, and then that should give me, I can just see it, but it's not sticky. Wonderful. And then for this one, again, let's have a look and see. Oh, I don't think you can see what I'm doing there. Let me turn it around. So what I'm doing is rotating it around to see where I get to the point where you can't see the foam pads, because that foam pad's sticking out there, but if you rotate it around, then you can't see it. Lovely. And then I'm just going to squeeze in a foam pad under there. So that is below the yellow centre. Did I stick that one down? I did stick that one down. I'm just going to slide. Fortunately, these foam pads are thinner than the width of the fences, so you can just add that under there. And I know it's not going to be either side. I'm going to carefully peel off that, which will help glue that pink one in place as well, and it will be an added bit of support for this one. In fact, I can do the same there as well. So these foam pads, if you're sending the card, just be aware that the foam pads might make it bigger than the limit on the thickness of your sending. So depending if you're in the UK, you would be paying for large letter. But you can make this card without using the foam pads at all and just keep it all flat, and it will still look really spectacular. I'm not going to push that down, so I'm just going to little check. Yep, that haven't gone through. And then push that down. That's all stuck in place. Wonderful. So now we've got these added little bits to go on top. Flower centres and the bees as our finishing touches. So just let them, add them onto the flowers where the circle is. Again. That onto there, and then the bees. So the bees are always heading towards the flowers, or heading towards the hive. So angle them so they're looking like they're eagerly eyeing up the flowers. And this one's just taking a little read of the happy birthday. So in the stamp set you've got bees that are different sizes, different directions, so you can, depending on what card design you've got, you can create that sort of movement for the bees heading towards the flowers, or the hive is also on the stamp set. So I'm just going to move that out the way. So let's have a look at the inside. So as planned, we've got no glue showing through on that. Obviously you saw how particular I was about doing that. If you're if you're a bit more relaxed than me, then you probably would have got some bits on here, but that is absolutely fine. You can obviously you've got the scrap paper underneath, so this part of your card would be undamaged, and then for any bits here, if it's not a glue that will dry completely, so if it's like a PVA glue, I think it will dry clear, and it won't be sticky, so you could leave that to one side and wait for it to dry completely. If it is a foam pad or something that's going to stay sticky, I recommend covering it over. So if it's like the white, so as I was saying earlier, I now haven't got a spare. Oh, I've got a cream one. Hang on a sec. Always got flowers to hand. This will show what I mean. So you can cut out another flower and you can actually add it on this side, and so glue it down, or the larger flower like that. So they're not completely symmetrical, but they're enough that you can cover up any patches like that. Or if it's just a little bit that you want to cover over, I recommend just cutting a small piece of card and just attaching it to the glue, and you can tuck it underneath and just let the glue stick to that and then leave it as that, because then you might look a little bit messy, but at least you're not the glue's not catching. So yes, I probably should have deliberately made a mistake so I could show you those fixes, but thank you ever so much for joining me on this slightly longer than an hour lesson today. It's been absolutely blast running this craft along workshop, and I've loved seeing the cards that you've been creating during it, whether you're making these cards from the kits, or whether you've got the stamps and you're making your own versions, or you're just taking this concept and making your own designs. I would love to see them. You can add your creations to Instagram or Facebook, and you can just tag me. I'm Della by Design, and you'll find me on Instagram and Facebook. Or you can also email them to me directly. And my email address is Della, which is DELLA, at dellabydesign.co.uk. So yes, have a wonderful time crafting these cards, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.